Hello folks, here's what we're making today. Homemade pot pies, chicken and beef. I made them myself in these little containers I found. Cast iron by Lodge, the best cast iron you can buy. They're delicious, they're easy, and they're filling. So let's get started and make another beautiful meal. Hey everybody, welcome to my next video. Today is going to be a pretty simple one. We're making pot pies. We're going to make beef and chicken. Now here's what we're going to need. To start with, you're going to need a pie crust. Do not get puff pastry. Do not get pizza dough. Get actual pie crust. You want it to be flaky and crispy when we use it. You want to let it warm up a bit so it's room temperature when you use it. We're going to use a sliced thin steak, very thin, for the beef. We're going to use chicken breast for the chicken. And then down here are all the other things. We have corn. You can use frozen corn or canned corn. Canned corn is going to be a little bit softer. We have sweet peas. Again, frozen or canned. It's your preference of what you like. I like the canned. They're softer. Same thing with carrots. You can use real carrots and cook them down. If we're talking about a quicker meal like we're doing, I use canned carrots. This is something called a jicama. It's a cross between a potato and an apple. I could not find a rutabaga. You could also use plain white potato if you want, cut in small pieces. It's not sweet, but it has that consistency we're looking for. For cooking down today, we're going to use olive oil. I love using olive oil for almost every single thing. Chicken base and another chicken base, one of the two, whichever you like. We're also going to use a beef base for the beef pot pie, and for the beef pot pie we're going to be adding a little bit of au jus. The au jus mix gives it a little bit of bite, a little bit of popping flavor that you're really going to like. And to thicken everything, we're going to be using a cornstarch slurry. So that's everything. We have little bitty cookie cutters. They're supposed to be Star Wars, like the Mandalorian, and Baby Yoda, or Grogu if you really know what you're talking about. And dinosaurs. I've never seen a dinosaur like that. I've kind of seen dinosaurs like that. Who knows? We have bigger ones as well. We really like Bigfoot in this family. We have fish, unicorns, fish, everything. So that's what we're going to make. We're going to get started by using two separate cast iron pans, one for chicken, one for beef, and that's it. I didn't show you these yet. These I just got. These are my cast iron individual pots. These are the cutest little thing ever. I love them. I got 4. We're making 4 today. The only other thing you don't see out here we're going to need is near the end, we're going to brush a little bit of milk on it just before we take it out to make it crispy and brown. And remember, never skimmed. Nothing ever less than 2%. All right, folks, let's get started. All right, we have our virgin olive oil, or extra virgin olive oil. We're going to use what we call a blurable. Blurable. We can cook both at the same time because we're going to be using 2 different spatulas. 2 different spatulas, 2 different proteins. And here we go. We're going to take our steak, throw it in here, and you know me, I love that sizzle. I'm cooking extra steak. This is way more than I would need for 4 pot pies, because I'll be making more later. And we're going to let that cook down a little bit. Now usually when you cook chicken, you would cut it first and then cook it. But we want small pieces. It is very, very difficult to cook raw or cut raw chicken into small cubes. You need to cook this first and then cut it down. You want to do it the other way? That's up to you. It's more dangerous. You can get a better chance of cutting yourself, and you're going to get a really bad cut. So let's go back to the steak now. Once we got it mixing around, this is really some tender stuff. So we're going to turn the heat down a little bit. Half medium, half low. And we have our blurble and our chicken. we're just going to cook the breast off. Now I always say thighs are best. Thighs are more tender. You use what you have. I was not going to go out and buy new thighs for this when I have perfectly good breasts to use. So we're going to cook these down a bit and we'll be back in just a minute. Alright, let's check up on how we're doing here. Our beef is starting to brown. So what we're going to do is leave it in the pan because the cast iron stays hot a long time. We're going to turn the beef off. The chicken, we're going to flip. You'll see it's nice. It should be brown a bit. Just about perfect. We're still cooking that on medium. We want it to try to be as tender as possible. Remember, chicken breast is a little chewier than thighs, so we're going to cook it a little bit longer, a little bit slower. And there we go. That's what we're doing now. That's our mid-cook checkup. We'll come back when these are ready to be done. Alright, you hear that chicken sizzling? You know how much I love that sizzle. Alright, while that chicken's cooking, we're going to get a few other things done. Remember, this is not something you have to do. This is just a little chefy thing I do. In a beef pot pie, extra sharp cheddar cheese, small bits of it, really make it stand out. And I'm talking thin, thin, thin. And that's about all we're going to need for two of them. We're going to leave that there for that. Set this aside. And we're going to cut our pecan. You can peel it with a potato peeler. There's a waxy covering you want to get off. A lot of times you can eat a vegetable with the skin on. This skin has wax. I advise peeling. Carrots, I like to eat a carrot with the skin on. I make mashed potatoes with the skin on. I do not, anything that comes in that has a waxy covering to it, I do not use the wax covering. Alright, and here's what we're going to do. Set those skins aside, we'll get rid of them. You want these a little less than a 1/4 inch thick. You want to stay consistent. It's not so much that it has to look consistent like for a potential buyer. It's a consistency for cooking. Once we have that, again, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. I keep getting the wax in the way. Now, you can see they're kind of small, but they're not very fine. They're just bite-sized. So when you take a bite, you can get some corn, you can get some peas, you can get some carrots, and potato or whatever you're using. You're going to get that right in with it. So you can get a little bit of each in a bite. You don't want to have to limit the flavor of what you're doing. Alright, we're going to get rid of these skins. We're going to go back to our chicken now and take a look and see how it's doing. How are we doing here, guys? Oh, look at that brown. Alright, we're coming back in about 3 or 4 minutes and check our chicken. Hang tight. You've got me eating the cheese. I can't help but sample the cheese. Alright, for the sake of brevity, we're going to take the chicken here. It's really, really thick breasts. So what we're going to do is bring it over here, and one at a time, we're going to just butterfly them. We're going to take it. They're very hot. The center looks done, but we want it brown, just like the outside. So we're going to take it, put it back on. Take the other one. Same thing. Get our knife, fold it up, cut right through. It's nice and juicy. That's some pretty tender chicken. It looks really good. I know it's not quite 165 degrees yet. I still want it browned. Okay. Now remember over here, our beef, it continued cooking till it was perfect. Let's see if it's perfect. Yes. All right. Gonna give that chicken a couple more minutes. We'll start assembling our meals. Okay, our beef is ready to come off. Our chicken is still cooking. You can hear it sizzling. We're going to turn it off. Like I always say, that cast iron stays hot a long time. It'll finish cooking perfectly.
Did you burn yourself?
No. Now what we're going to do is use our cleaver, and we're just going to cut it up. We're not mincing it. We're portioning it. You can do about 1/4 inch slices here too. You want bite-sized pieces like this. That's about what you want. You want a lot of those all the way through. You want it to be able to be spooned up and eaten easily. And there we go. Now, we're just going to put that back in. Well, we're going to leave it here. We'll do the chicken next. Now you can see our beef is done. I've slid it to the side. Got a new cutting board for the chicken. I'm going to take our chicken breasts, 2 at a time. Bring them over here. Now, if your hands are sturdy enough to handle the heat, go ahead and just cut into it. Oh, there's a piece on the floor for the dog, for Hoover. Again, bite-sized pieces. Uniformity is there for the looks and the ease of eating. You want to be able to get a bite of everything into each spoonful if you can. And if they're too big, you can't. So there we have our chicken. We have our beef. We have our extra sharp cheddar for the beef pot pie. We have our jicama. And we're going to make now a base. We're going to make a chicken base and a beef base. Thicken it up. It's pretty much just a gravy is what we're making, but it's a base for the pie. Put up all our ingredients into it, mix everything up, let it cook, and then we'll make our crusts. We'll put our crust in for the pie. All right, back to our pans now. We're putting them back on almost high. Just a little less than high. We're going to use a cup of water in each, except I'm using 2 because I'm making more. If you want to make sure everything's cooked out of your water, there's stories about letting cold water cook because it cooks longer. There's actually, I've found over years that there's a little bit of truth to that. So I start with warm water, not cold because it's going to take forever. I start with cool water, warm water, and I let it cook. Now we're going to let that go till it's about to boil, and then we're going to add our base to it. Now while the chicken is cooking, the chicken side you're going to use, we're going to take our jicama, and we're going to let it boil in with it. You don't want it cooking too much. You want to make sure that when you're cooking this down, it's not like a potato, it's more like an apple. Overcook it, it becomes mush. Undercook it, and it's sometimes too crunchy. So we're not going to ever cook it directly in a pan. We're just going to boil a little bit. So we're going to put all that we've cut in. And I'll get one last little bit. We're going to let that heat up. And what we'll do is while that's heating up, when we make the gravy, we'll make the gravy with that in it. All right, folks. See you in a bit. All right, remember, I said put a cup in for 2 you're going to make for yourself. I'm making more, so I use 2 cups. You'll want a tablespoon for every cup. So there we go. There's about a tablespoon and 3/4.
A tablespoon of what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Of beef base. I thought I showed you. A tablespoon of beef base for every 2 cups. Since I have 4, I use a little bit more.
Is that a special brand you use?
No, any beef base you want. Any beef base. This is from a company called Cisco. You can get whatever beef base you like. Now, this is the little bit of bite taste. This is the au jus base.
Is there a special brand for that you use?
Gordon's. Gordon's is the only au jus base I've ever found that works with great flavor. Remember, when I tell you these things, I'm not getting paid by these companies. I'm only telling you because this is going to be something you're going to eat this is the best flavor you can get. Now once you've got it in, stir it. Stir it in. If you don't like a really hearty gravy, use less. If you want it really hearty, use what I'm doing. You can add more. The trouble is, once you start adding more au jus base, too much au jus base is going to give you too much of a salt. You like salt? You like that salty beef flavor? Add it. These are things you'll learn as you go along. Like everything else I'm trying to show you, you do it to how you like it. All right. I dropped the lid to that, so I'm going to have to wash it off. Now we're going to get another spoon and chicken. Chicken base. Again, it's a Cisco Imperial. Same measure. About 1 tablespoon for every 2 cups. And what I'm going to do also is, I love this stuff. It's from Knorr. It's a powdered chicken base. Half a tablespoon. And we're going to stir that up just like we did with the beef. You can smell it. Well, you can't, but we can. We're going to let that cook and simmer. Let the jicama get some of that flavor in it. Get my beef over here. All right, we're going to let that go for a couple minutes. I got to wash off a lid that I dropped on the floor, seal a couple things up, and we're going to start to thicken this up a little bit. All right, we're going to take the other half of the jicama we cut up. We're going to put it right in with the beef. Now, just like the chicken, you'll see it'll thicken on its own just from the starch that's being released. So we're going to let this cook down a little bit. We're going to take the chicken, stir it up a little bit. And we're going to taste it. That is really good. Almost put it back in there. We're going to keep stirring this up. We're going to let this thicken.
How long do you let it thicken?
You let it thicken for maybe 5 minutes. Keep an eye on it. Every stove cooks differently. You want it as thick as you like. I want it a little bit thicker than this because I want a gravy rather than a sauce. Same thing with the beef. As the starch releases, it'll thicken on its own. And if we need to, we'll make a cornstarch slurry to add to it.
Where does the jicama come from?
I used to think they came from Jamaica just because of, it's called a jicama, but I don't know. I know they don't come from around here. I've used them before. I buy them when I see them. You don't see them very often. But I guess that's kind of lazy on my part. I'm going to turn this down to low to never look and see where they came from. So I'm going to find out. That's a good question. And we'll let everybody know. But I know for sure this one came from Walmart. All right. Our gravy is not thickening as much as we'd like. The starch does thicken it. So we're going to make a cornstarch slurry. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. You don't need much. And cold water. It's got to be cold. Do not put hot water in here. It will clump up. Using a fork, we're going to put about 2 tablespoons of cold water in. Stir it up. You want the consistency of thick milk, not paste, just a thick milk. And we're going to add it to each one. While it's boiling, put in just a little bit. Stir it right away. Once you got it stirring, turn the heat off. And you can see it thicken right up. Nice, thick gravy, beef dark gravy. I'm going to get another fork. We'll do the chicken. Same thing. It's boiling. We're going to stir it up a little bit. Pour in a little bit. Once you got it poured in, turn off the heat. And you can see how thick that got. Nice and thick. Alright, that didn't get as thick as the beef. So just add a tad more. Just a little bit. A blurble. A blurble more. A blurble is a great measure. And there we go. We have a gravy. We have a gravy. And here's what we're going to do at this point. We're going to add our corn, about half of what we have into each one. Now I said canned corn. I use a half a can, which is a quarter can each. Add what you like, but we don't need any more than a quarter can. Peas, same thing. Quarter can each, even amounts. Carrots, I forgot to do this. I'm going to tell you now, we'll do it real quick. We're going to chop these up into smaller bites too, okay? All we're going to do, put them on the cutting board. And very easily, because they came out of a can and they're already soft, make them into bite-sized pieces. And that's about it right there. About half into each one. Uh-oh, looks uneven to me. How much did I put over there, Nadine, into the other one? A blurble. Okay, now we're going to take our cleaver and put our beef right into the beef. Remember, I'm making a bunch more than just two, so I'm making extra. As far as the chicken goes, same thing. Right in. Right in. And stir. Once you have both of these stirred in, we're going to let them simmer uncovered for 10 minutes. Just get everything blended together. Looks like chocolate beef pot pie. How chocolatey looking does that get? But it's a good beef. It's a good hearty beef flavor to it. Okay, we're going to put each one on low. And we're going to go over here and start getting our crust ready. So I'll meet you over here. Depending on the size of your bowl, like mine, I've never used these before, so I'm playing around with seeing how the best way to make them fit. What I did is I cut it in half, then I cut it in quarters. And I'm just going to lay it in quarter here, like that. And I've already separated my egg. I've taken the yolk out. What you want to do, even though you separate it, is mix the white. Yolks will mix in with everything. The white actually has to be mixed up. It's the white that needs to be mixed. If you don't break up the white, especially if you try to cook like an egg white omelet, if you don't break it up, it's going to be clumpy. It's going to be a clumpy egg white omelet. So we're going to take a little bit of egg white. We're just going to line the bottom to make it wet, make a little paste. And we're going to overlap it like this. Like I said, I love the crust. A little extra crust is good. We can fold it over like that and leave it for now. All right, now we've got 4 of them. We're going to be making 2 beef and 2 chicken. So, let me grab my spatula. I might want to edit that part out. Here we go. Take your beef. You can turn it off now. And all we're going to do is scoop it in. Looks good. Looks like these bowls are bigger than I remember, or I thought, because we're only going to get 2 out of it. I didn't think they were going to hold this much. But kind of perfect for the amount I made. Let me get a spoon. You want to get every last little bit of that goodness. Alright, I'm going to set that there. Now we're going to do the same thing with the chicken. Give me that other scoop right there, Nadine, please. Scoop. Scoop. Alright, here we go. We're going to turn that off. We're going to scoop this right in. Just like that. Looks delicious. One more. Well, I'm dropping on the floor. That's for the dog. There we go. Looks like there's a little more than would fit in, so we're going to stop with that amount right there. Now, take your cheese. If you want, this is an optional thing, but it really offsets that beef flavor. Just a couple of sprinkles, not much. Just a couple that will melt down in. You'll be able to taste it. We are a cheese-eating family. We'll eat cheese on peanut butter and jelly. Well, I will. They might not. There we go. Okay. We're going to let that sit for a minute just to cool before we put the lids on. While they're cooling, let's have a little fun here. To put on the top, we can do little cutouts. There's Groku. Let's see how we get him out of here now. Grogu from Star Wars. Let's try a dinosaur and see how that looks out. I still don't see it. I don't know. They say it's a dinosaur.
That don't look like no dinosaur.
It doesn't. Well, they are prehistoric. They're all a bit now, so maybe it doesn't count that way. Yeah, that doesn't look like a dinosaur either. I think these are spiders. They came in a dinosaur kit. They had great pictures of dinosaurs. But I don't think they're dinosaurs. But you know what? We're going to do it and we're going to still put some on top. Let's try the other, let's try the Mandalorian here. See how he comes out. Without all those little grooves around it, it doesn't really look the same. It looks more like Spider-Man or Iron Man. So, all right, we're gonna let those cool for a minute. We're gonna put lids on them, and we're gonna put them in the oven. Right now, turn your oven on to 425 degrees. Get it heating up. Okay, everybody. You don't want to make the same mistake I made. Our break was way longer than I planned. I forgot to take out 2 more wraps. I counted wrong. You can't do them. You can see this one got really cracked because I tried to do it early. When you try to unroll them while they're cold, that's what happens. So, what we're going to do here is we're just going to cover them now. So I'm cutting this in half, like this. And that's enough to cover it. You're going to take your egg white, because it's going to be like a glue. To cover it, break it down with your hand for the side. You can use that to do another one. There we go. There's one. I'm going to set that aside. Here's another beef. The other half should still be big enough to cover it. It pretty much is. We can be economical. Use another piece to cover it. Okay. We're going to egg wash the edges of it. Put it over, just like that. Egg wash this edge, so it's like a little bit of a glue. Whoa, that looks better. Put that there. Use our hand to cut it off right at the edges. Now when they cook, they're going to cook over a little bit. You'll be able to see the gravy coming out. You'll know which is which. You can also take, move back a little bit. You can make a little C in each one of this chicken, if you want. And a little B for the ones that are beef. I'm going to make it a D because it's just easier. This is the beef. There we go. Now we have little covers we made, little cutouts we made. We're going to whitewash a chicken and put a unicorn on it right there. We're going to whitewash another chicken. Put a baby shark doot 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 doot, baby shark doot doot doot. That's enough of that. And then for the beef, we're going to use a Mandalorian. Glue it in place. A Groku, glue it in place. This was a Bigfoot. We don't know what happened to it. We're going to put that right on it like that. These are supposed to be dinosaurs. I don't know exactly what they are. There we go. And our Mandalorian, last one. We'll put that. This one actually got some texture to it, but there we go. Now at this point, you want to make sure that they can breathe. You want to make sure that you give it some venting. Just like an apple pie. Four vents is usually enough. Just need some air to escape so it doesn't bubble over. Doesn't have to be symmetrical. It can be wherever you want it to be. And there you go. Now, we're going to put these in the oven. Let's back up a little bit. I'll help you with that. Now, what you'll want is some sort of cookie tray or a tray liner to hold yours on, depending on how you can lift them up. These are cast iron. These are sturdy. I can lift them up with an oven mitt. So in the middle rack, just like that. Beef on one side, chicken on the other, middle rack, 425. We're going to set our timer for 20 minutes. We're going to come back in 20 minutes, and when we do, we're going to brush them with a little bit of milk, put them back in for 5 more minutes, and they'll get nice and crusty, toasty brown on the top. So that's it. So see you in a couple minutes. All right, everybody. Timer just went off. It's been 20 minutes. We're going to open this up, pull the rack out, and as you can see, they're looking beautiful. All we want to do is brown them up a little bit more. So we're taking a little bit of milk, touching up the center areas. That's going to brown them right up for us. You can also, if you want, you can use just egg white all the way around in the beginning. It'll give it a nice crystallized brown. It's not the same thing. It's a cheap kind of brown. It just crystallizes the dough. Doesn't really give it a deep, crunchy, flavorful brown. And that's it. Okay, we're going to put that back in. We're going to set our timer for 5 more minutes. And in 5 minutes, we're going to take them out, let them cool, and eat them. They're going to be delicious. All right, timer's gone off. 5 more minutes. You can hear one of them did bust open, like I said. They are perfect. Take them out of the oven, set them here. Meals fit for kings or queens. Princes, princesses, jesters, you name it. They came out beautiful. They are way too hot to eat. Gonna let them have to sit for a few minutes. We can eat these right out of the pan, right out of the pot. Pour it into a bowl, however it wants to be done. It's all up to you. So, I hope you enjoyed it. These are beautiful. These are perfect. And they're gonna taste good. As I say always and always and always and over again, please like and subscribe. It's the only way I can grow. Got any questions? You got any comments? You like it when you make them? Let me know. This is Chef Ken Dad signing off, saying, remember, baking is science, but cooking is art.